Blog Talk Radio.
Now let's set the record straight. There's no argument over the choice between peace and war, but there's only one guaranteed way you can have peace, and you can have it in the next second. Surrender. Admittedly, there's a risk in any course we follow other than this, but every lesson of history tells us that the greater risk lies in appeasement, and this is the specter our well-meaning liberal friends refuse to face, that their policy of accommodation is appeasement, and it gives no choice between peace and war, only between fight or surrender. If we continue to accommodate, continue to back and retreat, eventually we have to face the final demand, the ultimatum. And what then? When Nikita Khrushchev has told his people, he knows what our answer will be. He has told them that we're retreating under the pressure of the Cold War, and someday, when the time comes to deliver the final ultimatum, our surrender will be voluntary, because by that time, we will have been weakened from within spiritually, morally, and economically. He believes this because from our side he's heard voices pleading for peace at any price, or better rev than death, or as one commentator put it, he'd rather live on his knees than die on his feet. And therein lies the road to war, because those voices don't speak for the rest of us. You and I know and do not believe that life is so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery. If nothing in life is worth dying for, when did this begin? Just in the face of this enemy? Or should Moses have told the children of Israel to live in slavery under the Pharaohs? Should Christ have refused the cross? Should the patriots at Concord Bridge have thrown down their guns and refused to fire the shot heard round the world? The martyrs of history were not fools, and our honored dead who gave their lives to stop the advance of the Nazis didn't die in vain. Where then is the road to peace? Well, it's a simple answer after all. You and I have the courage to say to our enemies, there is a price we will not pay, there is a point beyond which they must not advance. Winston Churchill said the destiny of man is not measured by material computations. When great forces are on the move in the world, we learn we're spirits, not animals. And he said there's something going on in time and space and beyond time and space, which, whether we like it or not, spells duty. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
All right, everybody, Joseph Gibson podcasting here. We just connected live here. How's everybody doing tonight? Phone number 657-383-0616 if you have something to share about the status of our republic. And if you missed last night's podcast, I spoke to Dr. Peter Ventura last night. He was on his way back from San Diego, California, and he talked to us when he was on his way out there from Hartford, Connecticut to Imperial Beach, San Diego, California, and we caught up with him when he was in Texas, and Texas is a large state to travel, and he gave me live updates about traveling across the country, and this was his 45th time driving across the country, 45 times in the last 10 years. So that's interesting. You see a lot. You meet a lot of people. You see a lot of different cultures and people and towns and cities and highways and cars and that was interesting when he told me he was down by the border down there, and they have checkpoints down there all the time. They knock on your window. Are you a U.S. citizen? You say yes, and they wave you on through. That's interesting. So learned a little something about that. So I want to say hello to my grandmother. That would be my son's great-grandmother, who is listening tonight in the state of Connecticut. So she's listening tonight. That's good. She doesn't always listen all the time anymore, but like she did years ago. But it's good to know that she is listening, and maybe she'll contribute to the podcast tonight if she hears something. I know she used to get on here sometimes. I remember when that guy Mandelicon would come on here. Boy, oh boy, but yeah, cause we were talking about that tonight, actually, her and I, all the people that used to listen to the podcast years ago. Mike from Wisconsin, no longer with us, passed on. Joe down in Florida there, he was one of the original listeners to this podcast. When I first started out, he's no longer with us. A lot of people that started out that are no longer listening now, but we have new people that are listening, and we move on. And, circle the wagons, I guess you could say. So I'll be back with you in a couple minutes here. I've got to connect a few other callers. And then, hey, if you got something you want to add or share, if you got a story to share, if not, I'll go on with my talking points, and we'll go from there. Back in a few minutes. Understanding the times in which we live today.
We've just gotten a recording of the police radio traffic as officers caught up to that black SUV, as well as during the chase and the shootout. This is the first time we're hearing this. Let's listen.
Okay, last seen in the alleyway headed towards school. Do we have a clothing description?
Male, dark-skinned is all I have on this frequency.
You can get that and then north 2 printing. North 2, have them go there. We don't need any more people here unless it's a SWAT team. That's it.
North 2, what's your exact location?
We are at San Bernardino and Shedden. San Bernardino and Shedden. We can see one guy down. There's one guy in the back of a car that we need that Bearcat. Just for the update, X-ray 3, we have the suspect vehicle stopped. We go ahead and extract it. We can stand by, wait for the Bearcat.
Copy.
North 2. Right now we have one down outside the car, one down inside the car. Or, well, we don't know. Hold on. And then from what we understand is one's on the run.
All right, so again, conflicting, confusing reports there. You get a sense of the chaos at the scene. You hear the shots in the background. You hear that last officer saying one suspect down. We saw that suspect down on the street early on, if you were watching the helicopter coverage from the local affiliate there, and a long gun by the side of that person. The officer then saying that he believed there was the second suspect was down in the vehicle itself, and then talked about somebody on the run. But again, that seems to conflict with what the chief was saying earlier, which was they searched that whole area based on people calling in saying that somebody was jumping fences. The chief said he wasn't sure if that was police jumping fences, which they certainly were as well. But they searched that area and feel that area is no longer, people are not in any threat in that area.
Good evening. I would like to report on the state of our war against the American people. We're mounting a sustained campaign to crack down on every American and every person of every faith and every nation, and to bring them to justice. All missions are being executed according to plan, without warning or provocation. Americans are being swept up in an international dragnet. Thousands of FBI agents are on the trail of other citizens here and abroad. It has everything to do with hate and evil and murder and prejudice. America's strong.
Federal agents, we are armed! We have more than 50% of illegal firearms.
The New World Order, I've analyzed it from every angle. I've analyzed every facet of it. They are not going to be able to get away with getting the New World Order off the ground. There is no way that they are going to be able to set up this open world government, openly ruled by a private banking cartel that taxes and regulates every facet of our lives, without staging terror or a huge war. Period. And again, thousands of pieces of data and research go into. People ask me, well, how do you know this? How do you understand this? You just have to have your head in the game 15, 16, 17, 18 hours a day studying the enemy to be able to understand the basics. Or many of you that have been listening to this show for many years, or who have worked in government, or who are historians in your own right, who have been doing some of the same research, you understand why. And, you know, I can oversimplify all of it, but there's just so many nuances that add into the total.
All right, everybody. Joseph Gibson podcasting here live, understanding the times in which we live today. I thought that was a pretty good intro there, fitting the times in which we live today. We see what's going on, and it's basically the country has gone to it's interesting how you could stay sheltered from it in some areas, and then other areas around the country, you can see it firsthand. And if you're awake, you know exactly what they're doing and what's going on, and you understand what is happening and why it's happening. I mean, the crime wave right now, the ripple effect of what do you do when you're a kid? You throw a rock into a lake, and boop, it goes down, right? And you see the ripple effect. It takes time to get, that ripple effect. And that's what's happening right now. For instance, the drugs that are flowing into the United States right now, the amount of fentanyl seized while coming through the southern border during the first 5 months of fiscal year 2021 is already higher than all of fiscal year 2020, according to the latest stats from Customs and Border Protection, CBP, has seized more than 5,000 pounds of fentanyl since October 1st, 2020, said acting CBP Commissioner Troy Miller during a March 10th media call. We're seeing a dramatic increase in fentanyl seizures this fiscal year, more than 360% higher than this time last year, Miller said. Nationwide drug seizures increased 50% in February from January. Cocaine interceptions increased 13%. Seizures of methamphetamine increased 40%. Seizures of heroin went up 48%. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid attributed to the escalating overdose death rate in the United States. It is most often manufactured in Mexico using chemicals supplied by China. It's mixed with other narcotics to increase potency, as well as pressed into counterfeit pain pills, commonly known as Mexican oxys. The cartels are dominating the distribution of this poison, and it's really alarming. Derek Maltz, former head of the DEA Special Operations Division, told the Epoch Times. Okay, I do anticipate the crisis continuing on this escalating path, and to be honest with you, it's really sad because I've been communicating with a lot of parents who have lost their young kids, especially to the counterfeit pills, and it's all coming from Mexico. Overdoses involving synthetic opioids other than methadone between 2005 and 2018, the DEA 2021 report. The Rio Grande City Border Patrol Station takes care of a 68-mile strip of international border in South Texas. It sits within the Rio Grande Valley sector, and in 2019 was the busiest of the nation's 135 stations for drug seizures and the second busiest for illegal alien apprehensions. Then Deputy Chief Border Patrol Agent for the Rio Grande Valley sector, Raul Ortez, said in March 2019, we're not even probably catching about 10% of it, the drugs he's talking about. Border experts have said it's likely Border Patrol drug seizures will decrease as illegal immigration surges. Agents will be tied up with large groups of people rather than interciting drugs, Border Patrol highway checkpoints, or also closing in many areas as agents are sent to the border to help with processing with the increased numbers. The Biden administration has said there is no crisis on the border and urges potential immigrants not to come in illegally. But the latest illegal crossing numbers show that February hit a 14-month high with more than 100,000 Border Patrol apprehensions. Mexico's president has expressed concern that President Joe Biden's policies are encouraging illegal immigration and human trafficking along the border with the United States. But there's no problem down there, of course. That's what they say. And if you talk to any libtard, jerk, jackass, liberal idiot out there, they will deny it too, and they'll argue with you. And they back nothing up with any facts whatsoever. And that's what they do. And we have nobody to blame but ourselves, because we have those people in our families. We have those people that coincide, walk side by side with us every single day. And we really should be in their faces telling them to get out of our faces and to hightail it out of here. Because you know what? These people are destroying our country. They are criminals. They are criminals. Okay, and we're doing nothing about it. Nothing. Physical therapist, 28, dies 2 days after receiving COVID-19 vaccination. Huh. I mean, these stories are just they just keep coming and coming and coming. I mean, and still people, they pump it on that TV. Take that vaccination. Police round up woman mourning London kidnapping murder victim and crackdown on vigil. Help despite COVID ban. This is listen to this. This is the idiocy of this, right? On the news today, they're talking about down there in Miami, Florida, spring break. the cops are spraying pepper spray balls into the crowd, okay? Because we're worse than Iran when it comes to human rights, okay? Yeah, that's who they are, because we can't protest our government. Neither can they over there. So don't talk about democracy, because we're not a democracy. We're a republic. We're supposed to be a republic. The democracy is exactly what we're forming into, two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner. That's a democracy. Majority rules, okay? So, they're shooting these grenades into these crowds of college kids who are, of course, acting like jackasses, most of them. That's what the college kids do. Because they shouldn't be doing that anyway. It's big spring break. They have to have a vacation, these lazy college kids, that they want to go out and party and have a good time. And this is what molded our society to become what it is now, because we allow this to happen. It happened when I was a kid, too. They're out dancing with no clothes on, having sex and doing whatever they do, partying it up. And, but the police, that doesn't give the right of the police to, shoot grenades into, smoke bombs into the crowds and blind these kids and arrest them. That doesn't give them an excuse to do that. But my whole point of it is the reason why the police are doing that is because COVID. Because the Federal Reserve Enforcement chain there says, all right, faggots, you need to go and round these college kids up because we have COVID and we've got to protect the community from the spread of this pandemic. Okay? So, but meanwhile, down at the border, next story, you've got 8,000 illegal immigrants all huddled into squares with no mask, no vaccination, no proper ventilation. And what sense does that make? What sense does that make? None. Zero. Zilch. But yet, here we are driving down the road. It's so stupid. This doesn't piss you people off out there? What are you going to do? Well, after all, what can one person do? I don't care. And I see this now. I'm analyzing this more and more now because I've known all this is going to happen for a long time. I've been called nuts and everything like that 15 years ago. You're nuts. It ain't going to happen. Not in my lifetime. I'm never going to see a microchip up my, yeah, yes, you will. Yes, you will. Most people will. It's going to happen within the next few years. I would say probably 5 to 6 years. You'll be forced to take the mark. It just depends on what happens here with this administration, and they're just speeding up real fast. This global governance, this reset, and whatnot, and we talked about this last week on the show when I had citizens from the Republic on, and they usually come on and give me inside information from what's going on, and they did that last week, and they told you flat out that with what they could say, they can't tell you everything because you wouldn't be able to handle it anyway if they did. All right, and within the next couple of weeks, we're going to see a major change here. I know some of the details. I'm not going to share them because I was told not to, but there's some things that are going to be changing here, and it's not major, but it's going to affect you, and it's one of three things that are going to happen. But I hope it's not the third thing that they were saying first, but I don't see that happening. But there's another thing that you got to watch out for. These what I just read to you there. These side effects from these vaccinations. I think you're going to start seeing a lot of these side effects start kicking in after 60% of the population has been vaccinated. I think you're really going to start seeing that movie I Am Legend there start happening. People turning into monsters there. So I'd be careful. Holly Weird always talks about, they put these movies out years before things happen. It's just, it's insane. The world that we live in today. Gun control. These new gun laws that they're coming up with now. I'm trying to find some information on that. I talked about that last night a little bit, and I didn't do what I was supposed to do. They're coming for your guns. They have to disarm the American population before they can bring in their UN super patriots there to round you up, put you in your little section cordon off towns and cities. And that's, you see, you just gotta see, you could see it. It's insane. You just can't deny it anymore. The New World Order. You just can't. Texas AG threatens to sue Austin Dem officials keeping unlawful mask order in place. Yeah. armed and dangerous. Murder suspect mistakenly released from New York prison. We remember that one. So it's the stories out there. There's so much to really talk about of what's happening. Air traffic controller warns face masks posing serious flight safety risks. Oh, God. This is just Biden's handlers panic at the prospect of him being asked a question. I mean, did you see him the other night, Biden, when he was giving a speech? They were talking in his ear. Do you see that? He closed his eyes and he nodded his head yes and then start talking. Did you see that? How they were talking in his ear, telling him what to say? I mean, this is your leader? And there's people out there that believe in him. They think he's the man. He's the guy that's going to save the world, him and Kamali. I mean, and they hate Trump. They still hate him. I mean, Trump could have saved the world. I mean, he could have came flying. I mean, he could have opened up the heavens, and still people would call him a racist. I mean, where did they get this stuff from? I mean, how do you? These people are just obviously there's just no convincing these people of the truth. And then you start talking about the Bible. Well, not the Bible, James. It's just they don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it. It doesn't matter. It's no matter. Just you can't tell them the truth. Just doesn't sink in. I just don't know why. 657-383-0616. Press the number 1, and I will bring you on to the podcast, providing you have something of interest to say that's going to benefit the podcast. If you're a crank caller, I would appreciate it if you just go away and go someplace else and get lost, like God's Rainbow Ministries, the jerk there, that Kenneth Fishy guy or whatever the heck his name is. That guy is that God's Rainbow Ministries. That they I don't know why I'm talking about them, but you're just complete jerks. I mean, they're offended by the homosexual comments that I made. So what? Too bad. You don't like it? Too bad. I'm not going nowhere. Simple as that. Okay? Okay, Ferrari, whatever you call yourself. Not going nowhere. You're just a little punk that wants to, harass me. That's all you want to do. I mean, just keep it up. All right. So, all right. Let's see here. What do we got here? What do we got on the phones here? A couple private callers, a couple other numbers. No guests tonight. No guests. So I didn't know if my grandmother wanted to chip in here tonight. She could press the number 1 if she wants to talk. That's how you have to get on here. Their grandmother. Press 1. And comment. There's some others there that I see the phone numbers here, and they haven't spoken for a while on here, but everyone's living busy lives now, and everybody's got a lot to do, and so I usually the show is really going to be on 8 p.m. from now on Sundays. That's going to be my regular time slot. I think between 7:30 and 8 p.m. That's going to be my regular slot. Thursdays, we know I'm on 9 p.m. over at the NSM, so that's definite locked-in slot. And then we'll pick one more. So what we'll do, that's how we'll conduct the show. I'm going to cue into the NSM podcast here in about 30 minutes, and I'm just going to sit back and listen to them. I'm going to patch them in, so if you guys want to listen to that, you can, unless something comes up or some talking points get generated here as far as the times in which we live today. So, I mean, how does the generation that my grandmother grew up in, I mean, I just can't imagine these people being happy at what they see happening to their country. I mean, I just don't understand it. We can get up here and yell about it, stomp our feet, and it's like people just don't want to wake up. They just don't want to get involved anymore. They don't care. And then you have those that do care, but they're just not getting the numbers of people to back them up anymore. And I just don't understand. Don't you care at all about your? I mean, you have the perfect tools right now to use to connect with people all around the world, and instead people want to use it for sexual perversion, use it for pervert talk. I mean, you got this Tony Talk on, like I just said, this God's Rainbow Ministries, complete jerk this guy is. They use their shows for silly, idiotic nonsense. And it's just it's pathetic. And they know they don't even try calling in anymore because I don't really want to hear them. And I'm glad for that. because I don't want to listen to their stupid comments because they have no type of knowledge or facts to bring to the table, and that's good. So, I mean, I pretty much shunned them, so they're not clogging up my phone lines anymore, which is a good thing. Sometimes they'll sneak on through. They'll be able to sneak in and try to trick me, and they'll do it usually when I got a guest and I'm really busy. Because like on a night like tonight where I just do open phones, they won't call in. So that which is a good thing too. But I'm just saying they think they're like, hey, we'll get them, something like that. And that's just that's the type of society that you deal with. And then you talk to these pastors about it, like Dr. Peter Ventura there, and he'll be like, you just gotta ignore them. Yeah, okay, buddy. That's what I disagree with Peter Ventura about a lot. Here's a guy who's constantly looking over his shoulder. And telling me to ignore people. Okay, but. I don't know. I don't know about him sometimes. We got into a couple little arguments there on the call there the other night. Go back and listen to it. I just don't understand his what he's trying to generate as far as his beliefs. I mean, I don't know. I just don't understand. This is his philosophy on things, right? You have a mortgage on your house, right? He thinks draining every single equity you have out of it and leaving, and if you die, you leave nothing to your family. I mean, I just don't see how that's a good thing. I just don't get that. When I get older, I kind of want to leave my kids with everything that I have and make sure they have something when I die, or if I have a wife or whatnot, I kind of want to make sure they're okay. That's usually what a good person and a good Christian would do, you would think, Not drain the bank and make sure nobody gets $1 of it, I want to make sure nobody gets anything I ever had. I mean, come on, man. I mean, I just don't see how I don't know. I just don't get it. I don't get it at all. I think I'm going to line up some calls here tonight. I think that's what I'm going to do, maybe. Let's see here. I'm going to play something here real quick, and then, let's play this one. I've been playing this a couple times. People have been wanting me to ask to play it a few more other times. Let's see, where is it here? I've been having trouble downloading these MP3 formats here for this thing. I don't know why. It just I've been having trouble. I don't know why. Let me see. Where is it here? There it is. It should be here. Is this it right here? Nope, that's not it either. See, I've been having trouble. There it is. Okay, we'll play this one, and then that gives it about 3.5 minutes, and then I'm going to make some calls. Alrighty. Understand the times which we today. And if you guys got something to say, like I said, and that goes for the other crew there too. If you can call in and make a good talk, have a conversation, even if you want to argue with me, that's fine. But just the sexual, perverted nonsense and the swearing is just, I can't take it, man. I'm sorry. I'd rather close down the show than listen to that. All right, we'll be right back here in about 3 minutes.
Did you know that the former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura is suing the Department Homeland Security. He's suing the Department of Homeland Security, alleging that body scans and pat-downs, quote, exposed him to humiliation and degradation through unwanted touching, gripping, rubbing of an intimate area.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know I called before, but I'm just wondering, what is the government doing with their own investigation into their own crimes of letting the underwear bomber on the plane?
The U.S. government escorted him through security without a passport, and we believe gave him an intentionally defective bomb.
It's a startling allegation from 2 local attorneys who were on board the 2009 Christmas Day flight to Detroit when Umar Farouk Abdul-Muttalib tried to blow up a bomb hidden in his underwear. Kurt and Lori Haskell think the U.S. government was behind the whole thing.
It was intentional that it went this far to further the war on terror, to get body scanners in the airports, to increase the TSA's budget, to renew the Patriot Act, and whatever other reasons you want to list.
We don't talk about our investigations.
Sorry?
We don't talk about our investigations. They're pending.
What do you think about all the telescreens going up in Walmarts? It's kind of weird, don't you think? Promoting terrorism and paranoia amongst everyone? Making everyone fear each other and be afraid of, what's going on?
I don't know what you're talking about in Walmart.
Janet Napolitano announced that, she will be setting up telescreens in Walmarts with the See Something, Say Something campaign, making everyone afraid of each other, saying, promoting terrorism, basically. There are telescreens going up in Walmarts all over the country in 9,000 locations. This is very Big Brother-ish, don't you think?
That's up to the government.
Of course, but I mean, come on. What's going on? They'll just do whatever they want. I mean, there's no freedom anymore. This is outrageous. This is beyond 1984. It's extremely suspicious, and I'm here to report that. So,
okay.
Nothing, nothing that can come from this conversation. I guess, of course, right?
Probably not. I'll write it down.
Transmissions will resume. I try to push, try to keep us all down and hope that we will never see the truth around. Another promise, another scene, another package like to keep the captain breed. All green belts wrapped around our minds, and endless red tape to keep the truth confined.
That kind of sounds like when we do our calls, right? They don't care. I don't care. Kind of sounds like it. Look, you get no results whatsoever. All right, let's do our rounds here, make some calls here, and see here. And if you want to get into the conversation here, you have to press the number 1. Okay, number 1, and I will bring you on. All right. So, but right now I'm making a call. So. I did have one guy there when I was playing that, and he hung up. I gotta go, I can't wait. All right. I really don't want to talk to anybody anyway, to be honest with you. But we'll just call these people here.
Thanks for calling the Albany Home Depot. This call may be recorded. Tell me how I can help. You can say things like check product availability or what's my order status.
Check product customer service.
To connect you to the right person, briefly describe what you're calling about.
I don't know.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Could you repeat that?
Yes, I don't know where I'm at.
I'll connect you with someone who can help.
Thank you for calling. Please wait while we transfer your call to the next available representative.
Albany Home Depot, how can I help you?
How can you help me? Well, hopefully you can help me. I've got a project coming up. I want to build something, having some buddies come over and whatnot. But does Home Depot help with store project? Like, for instance, that you guys say you can do it, we can help. So I want to build something like out of lumber, but I want to know what kind of lumber to use, and I want to know if you guys can help me and what you guys charge for delivery, and do you guys have a team that can come out and help set this up also?
Okay. So for our delivery, it's only a $79 delivery charge for the entire thing. So if you were to add multiple things on the order, you would only be charged $79 once. You can put as many items as you want on the delivery, and so it is $79 delivery charge. For the contractors and all that stuff, I don't know off the top of my head. That would be something you would have to talk to lumber about. And I can get you over to our lumber department. That way they can help you out and know which material you would need for what specific thing.
So the lumber department would help me pick out the type of material I would need, and they would help me out with the contractors too, because it's going to be pretty tall. So I need some help. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They should be able to over there.
Yeah. All righty. All right. Connect me to the lumber, please, if you can.
Yeah, let me get you over there.
All righty.
Get it.
Thank you for calling. Please wait while we transfer your call to the next available representative.
There we go. If I get back to check. This is one store, I believe. One store.
Thank you for calling. Please wait while we transfer your call to the next available representative.
The best advice I can give everybody by this call is just don't ask a question. Hello? Now we'll listen to music for about 35 minutes. You see, this is what they do. What do you think of that? Now, what if I really did have a special project? Has anyone got a question I can ask, like a real tough question? Like, like a real tough question about building something? That would be interesting. I got to start doing that, and see if they can answer that. Because if you're not asking where the nails are, you're not going to get an answer. And even then, you don't even know where they are. Numbers. Check mark next to that. Lumber department. All right, we'll do it. We'll call back that same number again and talk to that woman. There we go.
Thanks for calling the Albany Home Depot. This call may be recorded. Tell me how I can help. You can say things like check product availability or what's my order status.
Customer service availability.
To connect you to the right person, briefly describe what you're calling about.
Briefly, I cannot do that.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Could you repeat that?
How many planets in the solar system?
I'll connect you with someone who can help.
Thank you for calling. Please wait while we transfer your call to the next available representative.
Hello? We're on hold on the other one.
Thank you for calling. Please wait while we transfer your call to the next available representative.
Albany Home Depot, how can I help you?
Hello, yeah, but I've been waiting for somebody for lumber. I guess nobody's answering the phone. Is anyone over there working? I've been, on hold here.
It looks like we do. Let me see if I can get a hold of them for you.
All righty. Well, she did that already.
Hey, thank you for holding. This is Lumber and Building Department. How can I help you?
Oh, right. There we go. Finally. Whew, boy, you guys started. I'm dizzy from all the getting patched through on hold. Then I hear the music, and that guy recording there asked me a question, asked questions, and he can't answer. The recording cannot answer me. But, all right, so finally I got to the right person. You work in the lumber department. All right, I want to build, I want to know if you guys can deliver it for me first, but I want to know if you guys can make it in the store. Maybe that's the best thing to do, and just deliver it like your contractors can build it in the store for me first and then deliver it. Is that an option for me?
I don't think so. That is definitely a pro question, though.
Oh, pro question. Oh, boy. All right. Is anybody that's pro available?
They are not here on the weekends.
They're not there on the weekends. All right. So do you guys do that, though?
Here.
Well, okay. Just say what type of lumber would I need that could withstand fire for a little while? Because I'm building something that I want to light on. I'm building a structure that I want to light on fire, and we're gonna, it's like a ceremonial thing. We're gonna light it and torch it, So I want to know what type of lumber would be best that could withstand high heat for a while.
High heat lumber?
Yeah, I know it's going to burn eventually. I just want to know how long, what's best endurance.
Right, so that was the only part I got, the high heat part, because I'm in a bad spot in the store. What's the project you're making?
Well, we're having some guys come in. We're going to be doing a ceremonial thing. We're going to be lighting a swastika. We're having a National Socialist rally. Yeah. Yeah, we're having a National Socialist rally.
Gotcha. So you want it to be fire resistant?
No, just endure, so it can endure high heat, for a little while. We know eventually it's going to burn and crumble. It has in the past, but we don't want it to fall down and burn right away,
Gotcha. Denser.
Will your contractors build something like that for us, you think?
Maybe. I'd have to go.
Yeah, I know, because it's a swastika, right? They went their policy. They might not want to do it because, that's racist, even though it's not. But
it's something,
Yeah, I know. But if I was building a statue with two men kissing, they would love it, But I don't know. It's up to each own. I don't care. I mean, you can do whatever you want as long as you don't hurt nobody.
So right now I'm thinking an oak or birch would probably be your best because that's a hardwood. It will burn, but it will burn.
Okay. All right.
Just
and
like
that was
okay.
Say for $500 worth of lumber, let's say I'm probably going to need. That's what it took last time. So do you guys accept Federal Reserve notes as a form of payment?
Do we accept what?
Federal Reserve notes.
Oh. Yeah, and I do not know about that.
No. Who can answer that question? What type of forms of payment you guys accept? Yeah, do you have I just want to know, like when we go pick up and we go pay for everything, I just want to know what type of form of payment you guys accept. Do you guys accept there? Hello?
I'm pretty sure they just. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yep, I've got a bad connection. Okay.
I understand. Yeah, I'm just wondering, I just want to know, when I come in, what type of form of payment you guys accept. You know what type of forms, if you guys accept Federal Reserve notes or not. You're not sure? Yeah, you're breaking up on me there, partner. You got someone in the store that can possibly answer that, but as far as just not the lumber question, just what type of forms of payment. Breaking up on me there, buddy. Barely hear you. Can't hear him.
Thank you for calling Home Depot Service Desk. How can we help?
Yes, I'd like to know. I finally got a hold of your lumber guy there, but I want to know: do you guys accept when I pay for my project? Do you guys accept Federal Reserve notes?
Cash?
Federal Reserve
notes. You mean
notes.
cash?
Yeah, I don't know. You can call it what I call them, Federal Reserve notes. I mean, that's what it says on it. It says Federal Reserve notes. What's that?
If it's like a C note is a $100 bill. If you mean cash, we accept cash.
Yeah, I know. Well, I just so Federal Reserve note. That's what it says on it. That's what it says, Federal Reserve note. So I'm just assuming that's what it's supposed to be
you better
called,
bring it in so we can look at it. You better bring that in so we can look at it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it says Federal Reserve note. I mean, that's what it's called. But yeah, it has different number denominations on it. Yes, but I just wanted to make sure you guys accept Federal Reserve notes when I come in to pay for my lumber.
Only if you mean cash money.
Cash money.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll look at them.
I guess you can call them. You'll look at them. How will you tell though? What are you looking for when you look at them?
We deal with so much of it. We know exactly what it should look like.
Oh, okay. All right. So you were pretty familiar with a Federal Reserve note then, right?
Sir, Federal Reserve notes are cash.
That's correct. So you should know then Federal Reserve notes are cash. So therefore you accept them then, right? Cash. Right?
Cash. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm just making sure because some people say no, we don't accept them, and I'm like, whoa, I just don't know. So, all right. Okay. So you accept Federal Reserve notes. That's good. All right. Well, thank you for your time, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, bye. She's just, they just don't know. I mean, cash. Do you mean cash? I mean, why does everybody call it cash anyway? Cash. I didn't even look that one up. Cash. Do you accept Federal Reserve notes? Oh boy, that's just they just don't tough questions. They don't want to get asked hard questions. So you hear them when I say swastika. Oh, whoa. You know, well, why not? I mean, you know, what the heck? I mean, I don't see what's wrong with that. I mean, I want to build that. It's America, I thought, but it's not America, is it? It's really not. It's really not America anymore. This is not the country that we once knew. That is a fact. So, I mean, I just don't understand. I just don't get it. I just don't understand these people at all. But it's funny in a way. It is. When they start hearing that. We got about 10 minutes left, and I'm going to connect over to the NSM radio network there and try to get a hold of them. Let's see. We got they're my famous people in the chat room there. Okay, yep. There we go. All right. Well, I don't know what they want. I don't think you can type in the chat room tonight. I think they're having problems. I don't think the chat room is available. Let's see here. Hang on here. Oh, that's what's going on. All right. They can't get in there. That's what the problem is. Okay. Well, that's interesting. I'll fix that. I mean, really, most people in the chat room don't. I mean, some people won't even go in there no more because of the perversion that goes in there. But another story there that may. What do you guys think about this Cuomo thing, huh? That guy there, I've never liked him anyway. You know, Cuomo, he's you don't need 30 bullets to shoot a deer. Remember him? Remember when he said that? You know, for the gun control. Oh man. Let's see what else we got here. Watch massive homeless camp burns under Austin overpass. Wow, that's tragic right there. That's bad. All right, well, we got this big thing going on now with the fatal shooting of George Floyd. This trial going on here. This Floyd case there. I mean, I don't know what. I don't really want to get into a conversation about that because it's a black and white issue basically, where people are either they're just angry about it, and that's the way it is. And I mean, I'll read it because a couple people asked me to read this. So, but before we go on to that breaking news, there, marvelous Marvin Hagler, middle heavyweight champion, killed by COVID vaccine. Wow, how about that one, huh? Vaccine. The vaccine killed the former middleweight. He was 66 years old. Marvin Hagler has been executed by COVID-19 vaccination. How about that? Where's Black Lives Matters now? Let's get on that, folks. Let's contact the media and find out why this is not being reported. Marvelous Marvin Hagler. Wow. Murdered by COVID vaccination. That's just come out right here. There's a video on it, so I don't know if we can play that for you or not so you can hear it. Maybe we should. This is on the InfoWars, actually. So maybe we might have an article here for it. So let's see what we got here. And then, this is Watch Live. Let's see here. Let's go with this one. Do we got the article on it? No article yet. All right, but we got the video on it. But wow, murdered. Yeah, you take that vaccination. Hey, you can end up dead. Why do you want to play Russian roulette with this vaccine? I mean, this is just terrible. Terrible. Yeah, I remember Marvin Hagler when I was growing up, watching him fight Thomas Hearns. Remember Thomas Hearns, 1987, boxing? Yeah. Unbelievable. Sunday night, U.S. military attacks citizens for questioning woke policies. What's that? What's that about there? Sunday Night Live, U.S. military attacks citizens for questioning woke policies. Let's see what we got here on that one. That should be interesting. I wish I could play this one so you guys could hear this one. This should be. Let's see what we got here. Let's see if I can play this one here for you. Maybe we'll get this going here. Let's see.
Alexei Navalny, who clearly is a glow-up, a Yale fellow who tried to take out Vladimir Putin, and Putin said, nope, we're jailing this guy, right? And meanwhile, the United States is going all out to support Navalny to try to coup Putin in his own country. That's the hubris that these people have. They're not going to stop until Russia falls, and then they can turn Russia into an anarchy, open borders, degenerate shopping mall, strip mall, what they've done to this country, this once proud country, what they do to every country. Meanwhile, human slavery is back in Libya. You want to talk about the record of what the Bronfmans did over there and Hillary Clinton. Human slave markets are back in Libya as Al-Qaeda and ISIS rampage around. So they turn everything into a disaster, and they don't care because they're not trying to bring stability to these countries. They're trying to crush these countries so that nobody has the means to be organized enough to fight back against them. And also, frankly, because of their satanic Luciferian beliefs, they want people to suffer. They want people to be enslaved. They want people to die. They want people to hurt because they believe that enhances their demonic energy.
It's hard to argue that it doesn't. It certainly makes them enough money to increase their power in a temporal way. 2 days after the inauguration, there were military convoys rolling into northeast Syria. We've seen a gradual but constant escalation of conflict there. I think this was one of the things that Trump did best, was keep us out of the conflict in Syria. For 4 years, they basically did everything they could with the lies about the chemical attacks, encouraging Trump to do this. And, of course, literally there's video of Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, dancing outside of the White House when they learned that Trump was actually going to launch attacks. But what he did was launch attacks in such a surgical way where he would, call Russia and say, hey, get all your people out of here because I'm going to attack this base. I mean, he did it so perfectly to avoid it spiraling out into a wider conflict. Well, those days are over, and I seriously doubt we're going to make it through the next 4 years without a major conflict blowing up in Iran. And as you sort of hinted to a little bit earlier, what better way to, cleanse America of the people that you hate and are standing in your way of total control than to create a massive ground war in the Middle East? You send all of the soldiers that are there already. Maybe they all die. Suddenly we need a draft, and suddenly it's young, healthy Americans that are being sent to die in yet another foreign, pointless war to die for whatever they want. It's certainly doesn't benefit us whatsoever. And of course, and then you have Taiwan. You have us basically at the brink of war, protecting Taiwan against Chinese aggression. Where do you see conflict breaking out next? Is it going to be the Middle East, or is it going to be against China, Patrick?
I don't believe that we're going to go to war against China before Biden goes to war against Russia. I think they want to take out Russia. I think that's their main priority. And the Chinese are going to benefit from that one way or another. What we're doing is we're driving Putin into the arms of China. What we wanted to do during the Trump administration was we wanted to ally with Russia, frankly. And we wanted to send the message that Russia is not evil, and we could find common ground and then be able to strengthen our own ability to resist China. And basically a reverse Kissinger, right? Kissinger wanted to use China, open up China, which ended up becoming a disaster in the long run. But at the time, the idea was to use China against the Soviet Union, and it worked. Well, now it's the opposite. We need to use Russia against China. China's the problem. So I think that the Biden people are determined to go after Putin. I think they want to see Russia fall. They don't like the fact that Putin is the energy supplier for the European Union. They want to get rid of Assad so that they can build pipelines through Syria, which is going to make them a massive amount of money. And meanwhile, you see Israel very involved in a war effort against Syria, bombing the Syrian Christians every Christmas, okay? Constantly bombing in Syria. And the United States is going to take up the mantle of trying to remove Assad. I mean, it's going to happen. And, I'm a conscientious objector. Why in the hell, should I be told that I need to root on this ridiculous neoliberal gangster regime to try to take down Bashar al-Assad, who's never done anything to me, or Vladimir Putin, who's a Christian Orthodox nationalist? I don't want to see nationalism fall off the face of the earth in service of this satanic New World Order. And so, I'm not against my country, but am I going to be rooting for the Biden people to carry out this sinister agenda? No, of course not.
Yeah, and that's certainly what it looks like. And I think you're right that they're trying to really, and I think it will be a futile attempt to convince Americans that the patriotic thing to do is to go to war with Syria, and of course that's why they're carrying it out in a more subversive way now, more under, a subliminal way where it's not apparent what's going on. That's what the whole purpose of ISIS was, of course. ISIS got very close to overthrowing Bashar al-Assad. Just a coincidence that that's exactly what our controllers here in America and Israel wanted to have carried out anyway. And of course, the conflict with Iran over the Iranian. Israel's come out and just basically said, we're going to attack Iran. Iran said, if you do that, we'll wipe Israel off the face of the earth. All over whether or not the Biden administration enters into an agreement with Iran. And then the Iranian ministers have said, because of the downed drone that they were able to hijack and capture, they have blackmail, and that's why they think they can get the Biden administration to do whatever they want. It's very dangerous situations that we find ourselves looking into in the very near future. And, of course, Patrick Howley will be on top of it all. Your stories can be found at National File, and people can follow your Twitter at Howley Reporter. Anywhere else you want to send people or just...
All right, everybody. Understanding the times in which you live today, you hear it right there. That was a good, that didn't put you to sleep. That's very important news, very important what's going on. Pay attention to what's going on out there. And, is it fear-mongering? Fauci claims that the COVID vaccine experiment is safe for humans. Well, that's what he claims, right? Well, marvelous Marvin Hagler has been murdered by COVID, okay? And, I just don't know what else you can, how else you can deny it. How else did this guy, 66 years old, very good shape, a boxer, he lived a clean life, dead, 66 years old, 66 years old, dead, from going and sticking a needle in his, because the government told him it was okay, and most likely he'd have to do it anyway. That's pretty sad. What the hell's wrong with people? What is wrong with you? You think you're, I want to do a good thing, I'm going to get vaccinated. You're insane. It's insane. Here's a story right here. I'll see if we can play this one here for you. Hang on here. This is Alex Jones here, so we'll see what he's got to say here. Hang on. Let's see if we can load this one up and play it for you.
After getting an mRNA vaccine, was fighting for his life from the, quote, effects of the vaccine and died. When we come back, next segment on this live Sunday transmission with myself and Owen Stroyer, we're going to lay out the facts and what's really happening and how to stop it. Because after all, they're having a big problem covering up the incredible death toll. The question is, why would they roll something out like this knowing that we get caught? Who's got a gun to Big Pharma's head to do this? I've got the answer straight ahead. This is InfoWars. I'm Alex Jones. Tomorrow's News Today. The undisputed middleweight champion of the world, marvelous Marvin Hagler, is dead today. According to friends and family, he died from the effects of the vaccine. He was admitted to the emergency room and died today after taking the vaccine, just like Hank Aaron. And I'll talk about that here in just a moment. But if you remember last... Okay, I got some notifications here. Some people want to speak, so hang on here. One of my supporters here. I don't know if you press 1 or not. Call for the callers, and then I move to the news story. So here we go. Okay, go ahead there, Connecticut. Go ahead. What's on your mind? I'm trying to get the marvelous Marvin Hagler story out there. Go ahead.
I'm unmuted. Thank goodness. Well, you're having a little bit of difficulty with people understanding the times in which they live today, so I thought I'd just call in and give a few minutes and take up some time. That's about all. But I was waiting on hold there or whatever it is for quite some time, so I thought I'd get a hold of you and let you know.
Okay.
First of all, we talk about this vaccine or this so-called vaccine, because it's not a vaccine. A vaccine would mean it has certain properties to it, and what they're giving people has none of those properties. So therefore, it is not a vaccine. It would be considered a treatment, not a vaccine. From what I understand, 8 countries in Europe have now banned all of these COVID vaccines because of the detrimental effects that it's causing over there. Over here, We don't understand the times we live in. We don't care. All we care about is homosexuality and having a good time and doing what we're told. So we're just going to push forward. There's a process that you go for with vaccines. It's called Koch's postulants, and there's a 1905 Jacobson study which lays out the process for everything, which hasn't been followed. The vaccine, the vaccine is rolled out in such a quick manner that they didn't do the studies that they should have done prior to releasing it, and that's why most vaccines take years, because they try to make them as safe as possible, although none of them are really safe. But basically, what happens is that second treatment you get is the one that's lethal for you, because what the process is of the 1905 and the Koch's postulants states that after you receive all these vaccines throughout your life, like this fighter that probably received them all, when you receive the second dose is the fatal dose, which generally does you in. You could say, I guess, that everything is cumulative over time, and that's why you get peanut disorders and latex disorders and everything else now in kids, because when these things are made, those atoms of latex and aluminum and mercury are in the vaccines that they inject into you, and your body builds up something for them, and then when you come across it again later in life, eating peanut butter or putting on latex gloves, you get these reactions to it. So that's the basics of what I've learned about this so-called vaccine, although again it is not a vaccine. And a little further on this is, when you're arrested, they generally take a DNA test from you. What they do is they stick a swab in your mouth and they take a DNA test. They don't take a swab, stick it up your nose all the way to your brain. They don't do that. They take the DNA from your mouth because that's where it is. Because your nose is there to filter out things in the air. So if you had something in your nose, it doesn't mean you have it in your body. It means it's in your nose. But if you have it in your mouth and you have it in your saliva, the odds are good that you have it. So just the process of them sticking that swab all the way up to your brain is probably wrong and inaccurate, in my opinion, to begin with. So therein goes my saying that this is not a vaccine, it's something else. What is it? Who knows? Only the government people know this for sure, and they're not telling us. And a number of months ago, 6 months ago, 9 months ago, I don't know who the person was. Maybe it was Jessica. He said it quite clear and quite loud. These politicians, they're all on the same side. They're playing good cop, bad cop. Let's screw it. Let's open the borders up and let 27 million in. Oh no, we can't do that right away because they play good cop, bad cop, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're playing good cop, bad cop. What's going to happen? Probably nothing is going to happen in the end, and we're going to go back to the way things have always been. But that'll take some time. But who knows what'll happen on that front? You got your Cuomo guy in New York. I tend to agree. He sits there and he speaks to you like a mafioso guy and everything. And there's nothing wrong with that. I give him all the credit. I give them all the credit. They've got it right. You don't like the people. If people are doing wrong against you, get rid of them. Just get rid of them. But again, they're playing good cop, bad cop. They set him up to do exactly what they wanted, and he did it. And now they're going to get rid of them, and that's their game plan, because you don't play ball with them and they don't play ball with you. They do what they want, and that's the way it is. And that's basically my rant for this evening.
Oh, well. So basically the bottom line is don't take the vaccination, but you got the people out there to say it's the odds are you're going to be okay.
Well, I would say, based on what I've learned from this vaccination, which it is not, It's an MRA. It snips your DNA and it goes off and it does something else. And to make a long story short, and not getting into what it does, is it's unreversible. You cannot go back and fix it. How many people do you know this year, like in every year that you've probably known for your entire life, have gotten the regular flu? How many?
Not many. Not many at all.
There you go. What does that tell you? Right. What does that tell you? It tells me if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck.
No. What does that mean, though? I don't understand. So you're telling me the flu wasn't out there this year? I don't understand.
That's exactly what I'm saying. For some reason, as in every year in history, in your lifetime, the flu has come around. But last year and this year, it hasn't. Why is that?
Yeah. I don't know. Matter of fact, now that I think about it, I don't know anybody I know people that got sick from the cold, but nobody got the flu. And matter of fact, they never even talked about it on the news. And matter of fact, the flu shot wasn't even out and around, basically, really. You know?
There you go. So there's something wrong. There's something wrong with this whole scenario. If it looks like a duck and it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. There's something wrong with all of this. And when you get the flu and you get the cold, the symptoms are a runny nose, because that's your body excreting all the poisons and toxins through your mucous membranes.
Yeah.
So therefore, when you stick the swab up in your nose, it probably wouldn't do too much. That's why they stick it all the way to the back to where your brain is, because they want to do something. What are they doing? Who knows? I don't know. I'm just assuming things here, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point, but I don't know. I don't know. So basically, the bottom line is just don't take the vaccination. You know, I mean, but the people that do, I mean, how do you get this information out anyway? Nobody's going to believe you. No, there's so much conflicting reports out there. You don't know what to believe. You know.
Well, again, it's the good cop, bad cop scenario. And, you know, I believe you're going to get it whether you want it or not, because if you don't get it sooner or later, then you're not going to eat, because that's the way they're going to make it. You're going to have a little card that says, I've been vaccinated, or sorry, you can't buy gas today.
That's why they're doing this. That you're absolutely right. You're absolutely correct, and that's the key. That's the key. They want control. They always have, and that's what I've been preaching for years. The New World Order wants control over what? You. And, you know, they can't control us. And really, when you think about it, what's wrong with control? Because look at the society we have out there. They're out of control. They're burning down courthouses, for God's sake. You know, I mean, with people in it. Antifa.
Well, this is true. We're having congressional hearings and Senate debates and news stories over a 2-hour protest at the Capitol building, but we don't have any of those over a 10-day surge trying to attack the White House.
Yeah. Well, they wouldn't. Yeah, that's true. Well, why would they attack the White House? Because they love Biden. Well, and when they did try to get in there with Trump a few times, but they stopped them, obviously. You know.
That's what I mean. But they're not hunting down these people and arresting them and having Senate investigations about it. They're only doing what they want. You know, we had 3 riots every day for 6 months, and they did nothing about it. You have 1 riot for 2 hours, and this is what they're doing about it. It's the goddamn duck story again.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Well, but the question is that, how do you change the system? How are you going to do it? You can't. Nobody wants to get involved. Nobody, you talk to people like my grandmother there, they're tired. They don't want to deal with it. They just want to lay in bed and watch the world go round, I mean, they can't. They're old and they're tired, But really, it's their generation that really screwed up this whole damn thing to begin with, when you think about it. But, it's, and the people today are suffering and they're reacting stupidly. But people are tired. And basically, I just don't see us surviving another 4 years in this country. I don't see how it could be held together. I mean, how? And what about when people say your children are being left with this debt, this humongous debt? What debt? What is this debt? What is it? It's $28 trillion. You couldn't pay that back anyway, even if you tried. There's not even that much money in the world.
Well, I know when most people get in trouble and they get debt that they can't get out of, they file bankruptcy, and then it's discharged.
Yeah, and that's what their global reset's all about. They're going to reset, but they're playing. That's why they're having fun with us for a little while. They get to all the politicians get richer and richer, and we get poorer and poorer. But I got another call here, 770. Anything else, real quick, there, Connecticut?
No, I'll let you go. I'll go back on hold because it's about time for me to call in the evening anyway.
All right. Go ahead, 770.
Hey, Josh Sarge here. How you doing, brother? Long time no talk to you.
Hey, it's been a while. How you doing, Sarge? It's been a long time. How you been?
I haven't spoken to you since at least last year or before.
Yeah. Well, we lost Trump there.
Man,
we had the riots.
I got one question for you. Other than I'm hoping you've been doing well. I hope your health is good. And that question
I
is
have
this.
been. Thanks for asking. Thank you.
That question is this, sir. How do you like living in a post-constitutional United States?
Well, I don't like it at all, and I'm very angry and I'm upset. And it's time for the people to get together and stop the silly nonsense arguing over stupid issues and start looking at the big one common goal here, and that's freedom.
Well, let me tell you something. We've got a geographical location here in North America that will continue to be called the United States for some time to come. But the United States, as a constitutional republic founded on the document that was ratified in 1787, is at this rate going to be forever gone because the Democrats, progressives, and the Marxists are seeking to codify and solidify their Bolshevik revolution and institute Marxism, socialism, progressivism, and every other demonic philosophy ever conceived by man on the people of the United States and make it unalterable except by a counter-revolution. And I'm not going to go into great detail about that because, right now we're not just living in a cancel culture. We are living in the age of the secret police.
Oh, I know.
Me, that's what it is. We're either going to have to supinely accept the state of affairs that these oligarchical Marxists have in store for us, meaning most of us will be serfs and we'll be like Mexico. You have a strata of incredibly rich people, and you have a bunch of semi-serfs and serfs at the bottom, and that's it. The middle-income people, what used to be called the bourgeoisie, will be forever gone, or else rendered meaningless, and we'll be in either serfdom, which we will either have to supinely accept, or decide we're going to do by whatever means necessary has to be done to prevent it from occurring. Because I'm telling you, I've never in my life, seen these people with such a determined effort. They're literally foaming at the mouth, wild-eyed fanatics to completely alter the nature of this nation, to include wiping out its history, which is always one of the first things these people do when they come to power.
Next are the guns.
Oh, man, they've already got bill after bill after bill after bill after bill. And you can see, they didn't waste. Look at, it's not even 3 months. Look what they've done already.
Can I give you some inside information? Let me give you some inside information that stays between, and it's on the air, that's fine, but I'm not going to go into details either. But I've got my ear to the ground. Believe me, there is going to be a change, and there's going to be a decision that the people are going to have to make very soon. Washington, D.C. was just a little tip of the iceberg. But there is very large networks out there that are working behind the scenes, but there's a conflict, like you said. And people are going to have to make a decision very soon. But what's happening now is these libtards and these criminals are being exposed. And everybody's going to get to see the facts laid out on the table in front of them, Sarge. And you're going to have to make a decision where you want to go. What jurisdiction do you want to be under? These people, or do you want to go under the right way? Which is the way with back to the, freedom. Freedom or not?
The Republic. Yeah, that's what I like to get back to.
Yes, that's what it is.
Republic. And every day it's being undermined and being negated. Every single day by everything these progressives and Democrats are doing. And I mean everything. I mean, it's like now they do the things they do without even bothering to consult the Constitution. In fact, as a matter of fact, we can't even get the Supreme Article 3 court in the land, the Supreme Court of the United States, to determine whether a clear and blatant violation of the 12th Amendment and Article 2 was done in the election. They won't even look at it formally and examine the issue on the merits as a clear Article 3 matter. Clarence Thomas said so. We owe the American people better than this in his dissent, where they refuse to even hear the case. I mean, we have never been so badly let down in crucial Article 3 matters by the Supreme Court as we are seeing now. They even let another non-eligible, non-Article 2 natural-born citizen take the oath of office to be vice president. The second one now, actually the third, Chester Arthur, but nobody bothered to bring that one up in court.
Wow, you knew about Chester Arthur. Not many people bring that one up.
I mean, they're afraid to. You know, they don't even want to talk about examining the matter in an Article 3 court, just to have at least a definitive ruling one way or the other, okay? They don't even want to examine it. I say, if you're born a citizen, you're naturally born a citizen, and you're naturally born in Article 2, Section 1, Clause 5 citizen, eligible to be vice president or president. And that's it. There's nothing more to be said, nothing more to be examined. The founding fathers and framers of this great nation would have been just fine with a person who was born with 3 lawful citizenships. 1, the United States. He was born a United States citizen because if her story is true, Oakland, California, and 2 parents who were lawfully resident within the country, that means she was born a citizen under the 14th Amendment. Got it. Not arguing that. But she was also under the laws of Jamaica and India. Remember, her parents were both citizens. They weren't even resident aliens. They were here on student visas, both of them. They weren't even resident. They were here lawfully, but they were on student visas. Due to that fact, under both the laws of India and the laws of Jamaica, Kamala Harris was at her birth a Jamaican citizen and an Indian citizen. Now, there's no getting away from it because it says it right there in their laws, just like our laws say, any person born to an American citizen anywhere in the world is an American citizen at birth. But that's by statute. That's by statute, not naturally born. But, of course, we can't have the issue examined. We can't have it looked at. You're a kook if you bring it up. You're crazy. You're nuts. Everybody knows. You know, it's one of those everybody knows things. If you're born a citizen, you're naturally born a citizen. You're eligible to run for president. See? That's it.
That's right.
That's it. There's nothing to be said.
Yeah. And the thing of it is, though,
we're living in post-constitutional times.
Yeah, but apocalyptic times. You're absolutely right. But the thing of it is that we have too many Roman 13 churches out there who say, well, it's of the Lord. The end is coming. We're just travelers here. We're passing through. You got too many of those guys out there, and then you got too many of the Black Panthers out there, and you got too many skinheads out there, and you got too many people that are analyzing and focusing on these other issues that need to be put on the back burner while you concentrate on the foundations of this country. And then you got the other ones will say, well, it was stolen from us from the beginning. You owe us 40 acres and a mule, and everyone's and the people up top are laughing. But people like you and I are so frustrated. We're pounding our hands on the desk. We're like, come on, man, can't you see what's going on? You can't see it. I mean, how do you wake people up, Sarge? How do we wake them up?
Again, I don't know if we can. What we have to stop worrying about is waking everybody up, because everybody will not wake up. They never do, not in any tumultuous effort. Probably the closest we ever had to it was the Second World War because of the nature, and we had some uniquely positioned people who were able to mobilize most of the people in the United States behind the effort. But that's really kind of rare in history. Like even during the Revolution, you had maybe 20 to 25% of people who were actively involved in the American Revolution. The rest of them were either bystanders, they might have been sympathetic, but they weren't actively involved and they had no intention to be. And that's the way things are going to be. We got to stop worrying about waking everybody up. What we got to do is mobilize those who are willing to do a counter-revolution, because we cannot let this stand without becoming serfs. We just can't. We're going to become global serfs. And the United States is just going to be another way stop on the great globalist enterprise, administered and largely lorded over by the United Nations and the Chinese Communist Party.
Oh, Lord, you just said a mouthful there. That was perfect. That was perfect.
Simple.
That's exactly what we'll be living under. Tyranny. Yeah. Wow.
Pure tyranny. And, of course, now that's part of their policy is at the southern border. They're now intending to bring – and, look, I don't blame immigrants for trying to get here, leaving those South American hellholes. I don't blame them a bit.
I know, right?
You know what? But, look, that problem does not negate us as a nation who is responsible for enforcing its sovereignty, which begins with borders. It begins with borders.
That's right.
A nation without borders is not a nation. It can never be a nation. That's why nations have always historically defended their borders. We're not defending our borders.
Why do you think Washington, D.C. is defending its borders? Why do you think Washington, D.C. is? They put a fence around Washington, D.C., right?
We know why they got walls up. And we can see now the hollowness and lies of the COVID fascism. We can see that now because now they're willing to let people diagnosed as being infected with COVID-19 into the country unrestricted and unquarantined. So we all know it was a lie. We knew it was a lie from the beginning. Now we can see it as plain as day. It's naked. It never was about the disease or protecting us from disease. It was about control. Control, nothing more, nothing less. To get us used to this kind of control, used to accept these kind of restrictions. Never in the history of the United States or almost any other country have healthy people been quarantined and prevented from making a living. I defy you to show me where this was done. It's never been done. But it was done in this instance. Why? Because they wanted to have a vehicle to enable the theft of the election from our legitimately elected president, Donald John Trump.
That's right. You got that right.
And
Donald Trump was put there to restore the republic.
They can't do anything right. They can't do anything right. They can't run a country. They can't run a city. They can't run for the prosperity, well-being, and integrity and strength of a nation. They never can. They never can. They just ruin everything they touch. The one thing they have a modicum or even a great deal of effectiveness in effectuating is that of seizing power and instituting tyranny. They do that non-parallel. Nobody does it better than these leftist, progressives, Marxists, and cultural Marxists. Nobody does it better. It's the one thing they're good at.
You got that, man. I'll tell you what, boy, oh boy, we need to get you up there on the podium if we could restore this thing.
Like I said, I see two options. I told you what the two options are. We either supinely accept what's coming down the pike, or we launch a counter-revolution by whatever means necessary. There's no other option. They're proceeding at breakneck speed.
You sure have that absolutely great. Yeah, I mean, and I know nobody should get on here and say this is what we need to do, this is what we need to do, because your front door you'll be flashbanged tomorrow morning and snatched away.
No,
so don't ever do that. So you're absolutely correct by outlining everything that's happening, and then if you're able to think for yourselves, those are the people we need in our corner. That's basically what you're saying. I mean, which is very smart how you put it. Well, you have a background, so you know what time it is. But the thing of it is that we got to stay. These people though are so convincing. They have the masses convinced. I mean, you walk out your front door, you don't put a mask on, man. It's like parting the Red Sea. I mean,
I know. But what's really telling? How much they've gotten through the long march through the institutions that these progressives have been waging for the last 40 to 50 years. I mean, it's been a long march through the institutions for them. And I tell you, the biggest single public example of their success is what they've done to the United States Armed Forces. I'm not talking about necessarily lower ranks. The jury's still out on that for me about that. I'm talking about when I say lower ranks, I mean field grade officers 06 and below to the enlisted ranks. Okay, I'm not talking about the high. I'm talking about the Joint Chief Staff, heads of services, uniform head of services. All that. I'm talking about 06 and below. That jury's still out for me on that, but I'm not absolutely sure about them. But I know in my mind, people who are utterly compromised, corrupted, can only be called perfume princes are the highest-ranking people in the armed forces. Throughout the General Mileys, this Lloyd Austin, this hideous creature they got as Secretary of Defense, and all this other stuff. When I saw the way they went after Tucker Carlson for his analysis of the feminization of the armed forces, and I'd like anyone in history, to show me a historical record where a victorious army had a large percentage of pregnant women in its ranks and won a war. I want someone to show me, because the military historian, of which I'm completely unaware of such thing. But now the armed forces was just, on this senile old goat, was just crowing about how they figured out maternity flight suits for women and how they're tailoring body armor to work for women. They were crowing about, not to say that they shouldn't maybe do it since they're there, but no, they parrot it as a triumph for the armed forces that I guess makes it more combat ready and more combat efficient. And then watching a so-called, he's not so-called, he actually seems to be a master sergeant in the first sergeant, so maybe sergeant major. I didn't live that close to his insignia, but in the United States Marine Corps, talking about how the maternity suits and everything else, and when they were talking about, people have served in the armed forces, who are you to talk, that kind of nonsense. Like every citizen has a right to criticize how it's armed forces, because every citizen is protected by the armed forces, every one of us, those in uniform and those not. Well, that's what protects all of us. We all have a right to say about it. The criteria is not that you've ever served. What you're saying valid or not? Is it a valid criticism, period? Tucker Carlson made some very valid observations and criticisms. And then I saw on Twitter this Marine Sergeant Major apparently talking about how it was an enhancement and made the armed forces better able to fight. In God's name, would someone please tell me how large numbers of pregnant women in the armed forces make the armed forces more likely and better at fighting? Would please someone explain this to me? Because my little mind just can't get wrapped around. I'm just not that woke.
I tell you, but then you got people that are saying that
we're living through now. This is what we're living through now.
Well, I spoke to the National Guard live on one of my podcasts, and they flat out, right after Washington, D.C., and they flat out told me, look, it's up to the people to realize what's going on. The military's crying out for us, the citizenry, to stop this. But we're too busy fighting with each other, and then the zombies are running around. We can't get it together, and it's chaos. It's chaos. That's what it is.
We also have to realize, though, that unanimity is kind of a fascist concept. You're just not going to get it. Like I said, the closest we've ever come to in our history was the Second World War. Even during the war between the states, there was a lot of discord and disharmony, and it was legion. It was everywhere. So we got to accept that we're going to be fight. People just going to disagree, even people with integrity and good intentions. What we have to understand, though, is the great dangers that we face. They are enormous right now. We are facing a greater threat to this nation than we've ever faced at any time in the history of this nation, and mostly all of it is domestic with the exception of the Great Reset and the globalists and the Chinese Communist Party. Other than that, all of our biggest threats are coming from within our own borders, primarily from the Democrat Party, the progressives allied with them, and the Vichy Republicans who would go along with them.
Well, you said it all right there. But the question is, can you, before I let you go, can you at least outline, as everyone, we can stomp our feet, you're awake, what can we do without getting yourself, hung up here? What can we do to
let me
outline, what can you do?
We have a country that was founded in 1776 with the Declaration of Independence. It was founded and established the breakaway nation. And why did they do it? And what means did they use to achieve it? The reason the United States exists today, and I'd like to remind you, April 20th is coming up. This is historical fact. It's not an insurrectionist statement. April 20th is going to be the what? The anniversary of something. Okay, April 20th. Anyway, Lexington and Concord. What did the British come to do? They went to the armory and tried to seize the arms and the powder. And that was a catalyst that got the United States started. That's all I got to say.
There you go. Hey, amen to that. I'll tell you what, that was what you said right there. And if anyone missed that, what you had to say.
April 20th, remind people the significance of that date.
That's what we need to do. All right, I will do that for you starting tonight. From now on every show, reminding them of April 20th. I can do that because you know what? There's nothing wrong with doing that because it's part of our history. Well, then again, they want to destroy our history and lock you up anyway. They're knocking down statues. They've been doing that for a while.
That's why they want to do it. Year zero. They want to turn us into Cambodia under Pol Pot. We started year zero. We create the new Soviet man or the new man, whatever they're going to call it, or the new transgendered, whatever they're going to title it as. The whole point is to start the history from now. Everything else is irrelevant other than what buttresses what we wish to institute. Everything else can be discarded and set aside. We tear down the statues, we tear down the history, and or we severely rewrite it. And that's all that matters. Man, I'm telling you, these people are as radical can possibly be, and believe me, they're disguising a lot of it. In fact, they're probably disguising, as radical as like to be, they're disguising most of it in order to institute it as rapidly yet as gradually as possible. You know, like boiling the frog in the water, gradually raising the temperatures gradually. That's what they're that's what they're about. Just raising a little bit at a time. Besides, that history is just racist, sexist, and transphobic and homophobic anyway. Why do you need to remember it?
Yeah. How will it start? I'm going to play that after our phone conversation if I don't have anyone else who wants to jump in here. 657-383-0616. Press the 1. And I know I got idiots out there, and I won't let them on that's going to say something idiotic. But you're absolutely right, Sarge. And I'm going to tell you something. That was great inspiration what you say. You got me fired up right now because you know what? Our republic, this is the last stand of our republic. The time is now. There's no more tomorrow. There's no more restoring anything. The time is now to keep what we have. There is no more tomorrow or the next day. The time is now.
And one was, I know I've let me on for a long time. I appreciate you letting me vent here.
That's okay.
But you know what's the saddest part about the whole thing? In my mind, we had, and he was flawed, I know. He wasn't perfect, nor will any human being be. I guess the close thing was the human personification of God, that known as Jesus Christ. Beyond that, no one is, but he was the best president I've ever seen in my lifetime. He had led us to near economic independence with a booming economy, energy independence, secure borders, a respect for constitutional rights, a respect for life, achievements like no other president, other than maybe James K. Polk, has ever achieved in one term. And then they came up with this, with the assistance of the Red Chinese Communist Party, engineered a disease to literally steal the election from them, and that's what they did. It was a pretext to set up the election so it would be easier to steal votes. You know what I was thinking before it all came down, Josh? I was thinking the reason they're doing this and unconstitutionally violating election law in violation of Article 12 and Article 2, and I said the reason they're doing this is because they want to delegitimate the election of Donald Trump because he's going to win big time. And by the way, he did. I'm absolutely convinced he did. But I said they're going to. So when he gets elected, they figure they can hamstring him, in a second term. Little did I know that they had a massive, and if you look at what has not been debunked yet, it was not heard on the merits in court. There is a powerful argument for the fact that they did steal election in 6 key states. That's all it took. Because we're talking about less than 100,000 votes total. Less. Maybe 60,000, 70,000 votes. And that's pretty much all they had to do was manufacture enough votes to get over that threshold, and they did it. They did it.
Well, And if you remember the night of the election, wasn't that an eerie night? Wasn't that a night of transition that you never saw before? When they shut down, they turned the voting, they turned it off, just turned everything off and shut it down. And then we wake up in the morning, he lost. I mean, what the?
And the spikes were in the very states that were disputed. Of course, that's just coinky-dink. You're not supposed to draw any conclusions from it. I mean, it just happened. It's just coincidence. The 6 states they needed to swing the election, this guy, that's what they did. That's where the spike occurred. You
ever notice? Can I point out something real quick to you?
Vote count shut down in every state in the union. 44 of them didn't have such a thing. They kept counting regularly throughout the election. 6 states, you had things shut down after 1 o'clock in the morning. Gee! Oh, but we're not supposed to be able to figure it out.
Well, listen to this real quick. During the Trump presidency, right? What happened there? Who took over the economy? The Treasury Department. You saw what happened to the Federal Reserve Chairman? No more. He disappeared, right? Because they took back over the Federal Reserve. The Trump was reinstituting our dollar, our currency. And because what do you always see? Remember during Obama and whatnot? Who? You had Bernanke up there. Remember? Every time there was a policy that came out dealing with our currency or our money supply, it was the Fed chairman. Well, who was handling things during Trump's presidency? The Treasurer, the United States Treasury Department, right? Right? You never saw the Fed chairman up there making policy, did you? No. The Federal Reserve was being eliminated right before our very eyes, and that because you have to restore our dollar, our currency, our bartering system, and that's just one aspect of what Trump was doing when he was restoring our republic, and that's what Trump was doing. But he's gone now.
The Achilles heel of this economy is, as it was even during under Donald Trump, the enormous debt it has gotten into. There's no way Donald Trump is going to fix that debt. None. The only possible way to have ameliorated it somewhat was to continually expand it and ensure massive employment, which he did by any objective measure. He did.
Well, he was going to restore the republic. No, the republic, the constitutional republic was going to be restored. And then therefore, with the military behind us, and all the people working, there is no way he could go wrong. No country in the world is going to attack the United States. Right. But right now, let me tell you, we're so vulnerable.
Yeah, but when you have largely Democrat policies in his various states completely shutting down their economies, and remember, these are decisions that under the Constitution and the state constitutions are left to the governors and others within the state. Federal government doesn't have any say so about it. If they think it's necessary to institute quarantines and all this stuff within constitutional boundaries, they have the authority to do so. And they did so. They unnecessarily, even if they did have the strict legal authority to do it, they unnecessarily shut down the economies in the states and kept them largely shut down. They literally shut down small businesses. And by small, I know it sounds a little crazy to say small business less than 500 people, but I believe that's the classification for small business. It's fewer than 500 people. Well, the ones that were mainly affected were those that had maybe 50 employees or less. Restaurants in particular. And they shut down the economies and tax revenue that was coming from these entities within these states. So guess what? Who do we have to go to for a bailout? Which, by the way, under the takings clause of the Fifth Amendment, there might be some justification for. Because shutting down a business, if you ask me, amounts to a taking, which requires just compensation. Even though it was done by the states, though, and the states should, if they had similar provisions in their constitution, people should have sued their states for their incomes that they lost. That was a taking. And most state constitutions more or less mirror the federal constitution. But no, everybody goes looking to the federal government. They go looking to the federal government for a bailout, and the federal government directly didn't do anything about it, except that damn fool Dr. Fucky and his idiotic and contradictory, constantly ever-changing advice, so-called, that the states felt obligated to hew to. Craziness.
Oh, boy, I tell you. Sarge, I got another caller here on the line. I want to thank you for tuning in here tonight and contributing. Obviously, that was I'll put this one up on the link for you to listen to what he had to say, the whole thing. I mean, it makes sense, but we got to wake up and get off the fence. Definitely.
Yeah,
I'll leave you on the line, but go ahead, caller 909.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, Joseph. It's Suzette. I just
How you
wanted
doing,
to add
Suzette?
All right, thank you. I just wanted to add a comment to what you had mentioned as far as the Federal Reserve. Donald Trump was, you're right, and part of that process, which isn't mentioned very often anywhere, if at all, is the fact that he had repatriated $2.6 trillion over the 4 years of his presidency. He did, 1.3 the first quarter, and then the rest came later. As far as by the end of his presidency, he hit 2.6 in repatriated dollars to the U.S. That's huge, but nobody's talking about it.
No, I know. They don't notice that simple little thing. And you could have got that on your flat screen TV and saw that. I was like, wait a second, where's the Fed chairman here? You know, light bulb went on, bing. But people don't get that.
I was paying attention just because of the whole. I heard rumors as far as Trump working on eliminating the Federal Reserve, and I thought, well, he can't do that all on his own. What's going on here? So I started looking into a little bit more, and I saw the moves that his strategic moves that he was, performing, which had to do with the chairman himself, which had to do with the IMF chairman as well, because we have money going into that one central bank that other countries pull from, and then the repatriation of the money as well as the job creation. All of that would have pulled us out from under, but then the COVID hit, so it put everything to a
they pulled one out. They pulled the rug out from underneath Donald Trump's feet, and then the zombies took over. With the fact that they rigged the election. Obviously, they clearly rigged the election. But where do we stand now, though, in your opinion, Suzette? I mean, where do we stand now? I mean, Sarge just basically outlined it, and without putting yourself in chains and having being flashbang tomorrow morning, getting snatched up and thrown in jail. Where do we stand? What do you do? There's a revolution. We have to have some sort of revolt and revolution. Look what they're doing, for goodness sake. The open border situation, everything. They're taking our guns. I mean, what do we do?
That's I wish I knew. What I do know is that the American public is being, Republicans, Democrats, liberals, everybody, is being duped into sustainability. They don't understand what sustainability is, and sustainability is that whole equality, communism life. And they have it all already engineered out. It's computerized as far as how they're going to map the country, how they're going to divide it, how they're going to use the resources, and supposedly how everybody's going to do well. But we know how that goes. And so,
socialism doesn't work.
But the whole climate change is being pushed really hard, and climate change is sustainability, to fix the earth and all this other crap. And so if you hear that word, you hear an organization asking for money for it, run. So as far as fighting for our country, we're, if they come knocking, or if they try busting in to take them, if they come in, I have the right to defend myself. So, you have to. And I'm not trying to get you set you up or anything like that to put you on the spot either. I wasn't trying to do that, and I wouldn't do that to anybody. I don't have to answer the door, but if they enter, by pushing the door open, breaking the door, well, then I have my rights. And that's not saying anything violent. That's just saying I'm defending myself. So that's what it comes down to.
And people automatically want to start, attacking, they blame the Jewish Zionists, this and everything. Look, we know the Jewish influence on the government. Yeah, that's fine. But you're forgetting the Jesuits. You're forgetting all this other stuff. You actually, Suzette, opened up my eyes a lot more to the New World Order. There's a bigger scope to this and everything that's going on. But our individual sovereignty, us as individual citizens, it's us, and I think at the local level, you start with your family, your friends, and your local level first, and you expand it out that way, because you can't go national. Look, what they're doing with the voting now. They're trying to nationalize the voting system. where so when that happens, you might as well forget it. You'll never see another Donald Trump president, whether you loved him or hated him. It doesn't matter. Look, Trump did a lot of bad things too. Okay, all right, fine, but he was the best president I ever saw. Like Sarge said, the best was, he was a businessman. And remember Ross Perot? Remember him years ago? Ross Perot was a business guy, and everybody was calling for him, back then. And then Clinton got in, and they slandered him, and they threatened his family, and he dropped out, and then he jumped back in, and then he lost all his credibility. But Trump is the last of the Mohicans. There, he was the last Trump. But isn't that interesting? That Trump, the last Trump, kind of sounds biblical there, right?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. But to sit here and answer all the questions.
Is the Precinct Project, and that's supposed to help with the voting as far as the laws that they're putting in and how we can fight against that, or at least put up a good fight anyway, if not, not just lay down like dogs. So look into that. It's called the Precinct Project. And you can find it online. If you type that in, you'll see lots of different articles about it and lots of different information about it. But it has to do with your local precincts. They meet once a month, and they have the voting power to choose the delegates. They have the voting power to choose the nominees who they're going to support. They have everything. They have a lot more power than than the average person voting, and you can be a part of that. You can be a committee chairman. If you gather enough signatures, which is like 50 signatures in your area, and then you can become a committee chairman, and you have a lot of power with that. Once a month, your representatives meet with that committee in your precinct. So look that up and check that out. It's once a month, one meeting. That's it. If you can donate one meeting a month, then we can actually try to fight back, but through that. So look it up for more details.
There you go. Thank you, Suzette. I appreciate it. Anything else you want to add real quick before I start getting ready to wrap it up? I mean, that's it. You're always welcome on the podcast. You always bring knowledge and a good voice. I thought you were on the other night. Actually, I had the Republic on, and they were telling us that, within the next couple of weeks, there's, some things are going to be happening and whatnot. But I thought it was you, and I unmuted the call, and it was a crank caller. So kind of. Oh, no.
I have my broadcast still on Spreaker Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
How can I find it? I want to look you up. I want to get in there. How can I find it again?
On Spreaker, Spreaker.com. You just look up Suzette Live Talk at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and you'll find me. I'll be live.
All right. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I appreciate it, and everybody else also. I'm going to mute your lines. I'll just play this at the end. This is Mark Konorki at the end, and he basically talks about how it will start, and you can go with it from there and what he has to say. It's only 7 minutes long, but I've been listening to this since the 90s, and I believe what Sarge had to say and what this last caller had to say, this is the only way it's going to start. So prepare yourself and just understand the times in which you live today.
Anyway, I want to say thank you to our friends there. Real quick, I'm going to read the prologue. This is from Battle for the Republic, Dance of Swords. So when and how would it start? Everyone knew that the conflict was at hand and that the open battle for the Republic was about to begin. The dagger war had been raging for many, many years, with victories and defeats on both sides. Some had thought that Waco would be the boiling point, but had not gone as any had foreseen. The 90s had had its skirmishes, and the militias had performed well, but restrained themselves in the hope that some other solution would present itself. It had not. With each passing day, the pressure continued to build. The globalist agenda had been based upon lies, and the people knew it. Some were still trying to formulate a peaceful solution, but the system had its own plan, and treachery was the centerpiece of that plan. With the first blade drawn and blood spilled, there would be no turning back. In a time of its own choosing, and at a place no one had expected, the dance of swords would begin. That's a nice abbreviated way to explain to you when people ask me, I've had this happen, well, how do you think it's going to start? That is whenever I'm in private, conversation with people, and a lot of you listening know this because I've spoken with you, the first concern is, how will it start? Well, let me walk you through it, because it's going to happen this way, and we don't get to pick the location, but the goofs are going to pick somebody they want to attack. It's that simple. They're going to try, and most likely, although you never know, like I said, we're on a sliding scale, but let's just say between 60 and 90 days into the next year. The bat faggots, combined with whatever Homeland Security bottom feeders, mostly mercenaries, are going to pick somebody that they're going to decide they want to use as an example. That action is going to be a face-off, and it's going to actually, initially be casualties for those who are surprised. It's going to happen that way. They're going to get caught off guard a little bit, but not much, because everybody can sense it, feel it, taste it, touch it. And what's going to happen is people are going to call on others, and there's a lot of people who are going to mobilize. The other side's going to do the same thing. Oh, and they have all their technology, but trust me, we're pulling out all the stops, and we have all of ours. At some point, there's going to be a column of goofs in black uniforms, idiots, mostly pea-brains. In fact, 99.9% pea-brains, in their spiffy little black uniforms with all their spiffy little alphabet letters on them. And that column of Suburbans and Labs and other nonsense are going to face off at an intersection. They're going to bump into each other by accident, mostly. And it'll be a column of militia, mechanized or light mechanized, and armed up, already cock-locked and ready to rock and roll. And the bottom feeders in the black uniforms will be screaming their profanities, and they'll be screaming and screaming and screaming, and the other side won't be screaming a whole lot. And somebody's going to pull a trigger. And there's going to be one hell of a popcorn exchange. It's going to, from a distance, it's going to sound like somebody opened up the popcorn pan from hell, okay? And when it's all said and done, there will be no turning back. I want you all to be ready for that. Notice I didn't shout about it. I didn't scream about it. And there's none of us that are in the militia community that will be surprised by it. There are none of you in the Patriot effort that should be surprised at it at all. Now, some will try to talk themselves out of it, and some will think they can make a deal. There are no deals with the devil. And when that happens, then all of the game plans, all of the nonsense the enemies thought to plug in will be for naught. And then the sky's the limit. Because one of the things that everybody has learned by watching what has happened over the years is in this game it's going to be use it or lose it. In other words, you make contact, you fire their hind end up, and you turn them into puddles of mush. You don't try to talk with them. You don't try to negotiate with them. You do what you have done before. Now, some of you are older gentlemen who were in World War II, and I know you can't dance the dance the way we could, in the past. I know that. But by God, you can still run a radio, and you can still drive a truck. Or you can at least help with men that are wounded or individuals that are hurt when the time comes and help to maintain the fabric of our society. But there's another group of veterans, the Korean War veterans, and guys, you're getting long in the tooth, too. You don't need to tell me. I know we got a lot of gentlemen in their 70s. And you know what? They're still online. And when the time comes, I don't care if you move fast. You pick the target, you put them down like the dog that they are with one round, and if all you did was take down that one black uniformed scumbag, you know what? That's one less we got to worry about. You pick the time, you pick the place, you neutralize the target. But there's a whole bunch of Vietnam vets. There's a whole bunch of other people that are from other wars and other periods of time in the last 40 years. And you are more than competent, and you are more than capable. And you've seen men die, and you've seen men stacked like cordwood, okay? The other side, they always claim, and we got a bunch of goofs on our side that are doing they're just stacked like cordwood. And next time someone says that, you turn and slap that sucker. Slap that girl for what he is. Okay, the next time you hear any goof come up with that or start yapping that BS, then you slap his hind end. Because everybody knows it's equal opportunity dying time once everything kicks in, and the other side ain't going to have it their way. Now, you're going to have to think ahead. Now, I'm going to tell you flat out, anybody who's running around like a chicken with their head cut off, shame on you. I don't want to hear any screaming. There shouldn't be any panic. I don't want to hear any, oh, it's so terrible. I don't want to hear any of that either. Congratulations. It's the life we're living. It's the times we have. Make the best of them you can. Organize to the best of your ability. Fight to win. And once we've won, help the other guys that are still in need of assistance to kick the slats off the other ones that they're facing. Moose season is going to be real short. However, there's going to be a couple of seasons that open up, and there's a reason for that, because the bad guys are hoping to waste our time and resources in lesser actions that they might consume and eat out our substance. We have thought for the long term. Now, all of you out there, every one of you must be prepared at least to take care of yourselves. You completely change the formula of what you're facing, and the enemy cannot predict effectively what they're going to do if everybody just does some of the basic stuff that we've talked about. Just food, any quantity of food and water you have on the shelf means that you are thinking with your mind and not with your stomach.
Yep.
Every one of you. All you could do is say, oh, peace, love, dope, I just can't touch a weapon. Well, fine. I really wouldn't have a problem with that, provided you get up off your dead hind end and do something to prepare yourself. At least prepare yourself. In other words, get ready for what's coming. Now, that means food, that means water purification systems, and even if you don't think you're going to be a combatant, by God, you better get a gas mask, and you better do it now, because they're already bragging about how they're going to bug spray people, okay? We already known that. That's part of their psychological formula, but what happens if we undermine it completely by being prepared for it? It changes the dynamic, just like everything else.
These are the times in which we live, unfortunately. God bless the Republic, restore our constitutional republic. That's the only answer. Take care, everybody. God bless. Take care. Be safe.